It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. No, you don't need to check your programs. This is not a concert. But it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And what if I told you that this Christmas might change everything you think you know about who you are? Hands up if you've done your Christmas shopping. Oh, just a few of you. All right, the rest of you have got some work to do. It's time to find that perfect present for your loved one that's easy to get, not too expensive, and not too boring. No socks and jocks. What about something that evokes the Christmas spirit of family and reflection? I'll bet that some of you have got one of these under your trees this Christmas, a genetic ancestry test, also called an at-home genetic test. Now, there's a few different companies, but the biggest one is Ancestry DNA, with around 30 million customers. At under $100, it might be a no-brainer for the family Kris Kringle. The process is deceptively simple. You just spit into a tube, put it in the mail, and then 6 weeks later you'll get an email from the company with your results. Just one click later and your ancestry will be revealed. Are you 14% Norwegian, 10% Chinese, or 4% Eastern Anatolian? The science behind your result is basically a giant matching game. The genetic lottery that happened at the moment of your conception produced an enormous string of 6 billion letters that scientists call nucleotides. Nearly all of these are exactly the same in all people, but a tiny proportion of them differ. And it's these differences that can give an indication of where your ancestors came from. DNA from your spit sample is extracted and 700,000 of its letters are read and compared to the company's databases. The results that the algorithm spits out can make for great dinner party conversation. Don't get too attached to your results though. As the company gets more and more data from its customers, its algorithms are updated. And what was once Norwegian might be Swedish or Icelandic. No great harm done there. But there's another powerful feature of these products that can really dominate the dinner party conversation. It's called DNA matches. It's the same easy test, but this time, instead of comparing your result to the company's databases, it's compared to the data from millions of other customers. For that great aunt of yours who's obsessed with filling in the outer reaches of the family tree, this data is pure heaven. Do not get this for her though, because I'm 100% sure she's already got it. Just ask her at Christmas lunch and she'll tell you all about the connections she's made with fourth cousins that have uncovered whole new branches of the family tree. For some people though, that seemingly harmless email from the company containing their results can turn their world upside down. Just a few minutes searching the web will uncover thousands of stories of DNA surprises, infidelities, secret second families, heaps of adoption stories, and even babies accidentally swapped at birth. And there's a whole new field called forensic genetic genealogy that uses publicly available genetic information to solve cold cases. So if you're one of the 2 million people so far that have uploaded their results to a data sharing platform like GED Match, you might find you're helping to send a relative to jail. But that might not be a bad thing. Like in 2018, when the Golden State Killer, a notorious serial murderer and rapist, was finally caught using genetic information that was uploaded by some of his third and fourth cousins. And there's the Australian man who believed that his late father was an orphan from the US, who found out his late father was actually an escaped prisoner from the US. It turned out he was an orphan, but only because he had killed his parents. Honestly, it's hard to top that one. Basically, anyone who already knows that their social relatives are different to their biological relatives has a reasonable chance of finding those long-lost family members using these products. And some of us who think we know who belongs on our family tree will have some surprises in store. These powerful technologies are changing what family means to many of us, and that matters a lot to anthropologists. Did I mention I'm an anthropologist? Anthropologists study human cultures, and since the very beginning of anthropology in the mid-1800s, we have been obsessed with kinship, the rules and practices in every culture who tell us who is in our family. Many years ago now, we anthropologists realised that our esteemed colleagues that came before us had got some important things completely wrong. They assumed, for example, that people who lived in the same households were biologically related to each other, when often they weren't. You see, they were projecting Western ideas of biological kinship onto other cultures who might not think about these in the same way. Then a few decades ago, other anthropologists started studying kinship in Western cultures, including people using IVF and other reproductive technologies to make a family. And they argued that ideas of biological kinship might not matter as much as we thought they did in Western cultures either. For many of us, what makes someone family is sharing times of caring for each other, supporting each other through hard times, even something as simple as sitting around the table, sharing a meal. Kinship is not just something you have through blood. Kinship is something you do. With the rise of at-home genetic testing, there's another plot twist in this epic tussle between social and biological ties, and that is biology itself has become a cultural product. And what I mean by that is that genetic information is no longer something under the control of scientists in a lab or doctors in a clinic. It's something that all of us can buy, share, and interpret. And this is changing what kinship means to us. There are new kinship terms emerging, like DNA cousins and biodads. People who share the same sperm donor, some of them call each other diblings, short for donor siblings. Now, none of these changes are inherently good or bad. For donor-conceived people and adoptees, finding biological relatives is not just interesting, it can be life-changing. But all this easy access to genetic information can send the message that blood is all that matters. And genetic information is hard to resist. You can say it's seductive even. We're drawn to it, like moths to the flame. we need to realise that, like moths to the flame, genetic information about ourselves can burn us up. So there's one key question that everyone should ask themselves before they spit in a tube. And that question is why? Why do you want to do this? If you have a clear answer to that question, to find a specific biological relative, for example, then you are lucky enough to have been born in this right time and place to do this. But if you don't have a clear answer to your why, then I want you to think twice before you spit. You might set off a chain of events that damages the family ties you have now. Because biological ties are not necessarily more important than social ties. Blood may be thicker than water, but it might not be thicker than the glue that binds us together. Thank you.